Chapter 32. Vengeance. The Zelan Yi's command deck glowed a dark crimson red as the reflected light from Astella bounced off the scorched surface of Quaverly and then penetrated the filters of the starship's viewing port. As the Queen and her general surveyed the barren hellscape that was to be their nest's new home, Sir Ramirez, for his own part, did his level best to maintain an unrealistically positive demeanor.
"We can make this work,"
Queen Zealandria proclaimed authoritatively, almost as if words alone would be enough to convert her will into reality.
The colony just needs some time to recalibrate their expectations, my queen. After all, as long as we wear masks to filter out the toxins, then technically speaking, the atmosphere, or at least what is still left of it anyway, is entirely breathable.
Who am I trying to kid? The general thought to himself despondently. The brutal reality was, the vast majority of Quaverly's surface was completely uninhabitable, due primarily to its extreme temperature range. The sun-facing side would cook you alive within seconds, while the dark side would literally snap-freeze you to the very ground you stood upon.
"We can make this work, and believe me, General, we will make this work,"
the Queen repeated fiercely, almost as if inviting her general to a fight. Sir Ramirez, however, remained stoically silent, and Zealandria, upon realizing that her general was unwilling to play ball, let out a slow, relenting sigh.
"All right, first things first. We need to find the perfect site for our new nest's primary biome. Do you at least have anything useful to report in that particular regard?"
The planetary cartographers have the task well in hand, my queen. I'm expecting them to provide me with an update before the day is out. Now, although it should go without saying, the simple fact of the matter is, it will be situated somewhere along the equatorial boundary that sits between the light and the dark.
It goes without saying, yet you say it anyway. Your propensity for stating the obvious genuinely disturbs me, Sir Ramirez. Maybe learn to think twice before you speak, yes?
My queen, I apologize unreservedly for being so obtuse. I can assure you it will not happen again.
Queen Zealandria shook her head from side to side in a display of performative disappointment.
Apology not accepted, General. Just ask yourself this very simple question. Is the Queen an idiot, yes or no? Then once you have arrived at your answer, simply keep your mouth shut.
I apologize for my apology, my queen. Now, with that being said, and as to the reason for my actual visit, I am nevertheless compelled to share with you some information you may find to be more than just a little bit unsettling.
Really? You mean to say you are here to do more than just report on the usual mindless trivia? Well, if nothing else, that should make for a very refreshing change. Out with it, General. What is this so-called unsettling news you speak of?
General Sir Ramirez hesitated awkwardly, earning him a reproachful glare from the Queen.
You may recall, my queen, I rather insisted upon the installation of an undocumented network of hidden recording devices within all of the main thoroughfares of this flagship.
Yes, it's your role to be paranoid, General, so that I don't have to be. I'm not about to congratulate you for simply doing your job, in case that is what you were hoping for. So please just get on with it, will you?
Of course, my queen. So as I was saying, due to their extremely small size, they have a somewhat limited storage capacity, and as such were set up to overwrite their existing memory on a daily basis. Now, with that said, if they detected any actual activity, then that particular segment of the recording was permanently preserved for later reporting and analysis. Note that this clandestine surveillance network was set up to go live the moment I went into stasis and then shut down immediately upon my revival. The practical implications of this being, there should have been nothing of interest for me to see on the collated archive, given I was the last to go under and the first to come back out.
Queen Zealandria took on an expression of utter incredulity.
Are you seriously trying to tell me these microscopic recording devices of yours actually picked something up?
I'm telling you exactly that, my queen.
Sir Ramirez replied flatly.
And what, pray tell, did they actually pick up, if that's not too much to ask?
Very unfortunately, answering that question requires at least some amount of speculation. Indeed, with the wisdom of hindsight, I might have wished to have made the network substantially more comprehensive. But nonetheless, with a little bit of extrapolation, there is more than enough evidence upon which to draw a fairly strong conclusion.
Please don't take this the wrong way, but I think I might prefer to make my own mind up as to the veracity of your so-called conclusion.
Shalandria sighed heavily before continuing.
All right. Go ahead and show me what you've got, General, so I can find out whether or not you've been wasting my time with your all-too-typical overwrought paranoia.
Of course, my queen.
Ramirez proceeded to light up a flat, monochromatic 2D HUD.
Again, I must apologize, but due to bandwidth and storage constraints, the recorded multimedia is in flat, two-dimensional video only, so please set your expectations accordingly.
Well, how very crude of you, Ramirez.
Shalandria retorted disparagingly.
So what do you think, my queen?
The general said expectantly after several moments of nothing apparently happening.
What do I think about what, exactly?
Shalandria replied with a distinct tone of exasperation.
I can appreciate it's easy to miss for the untrained eye, so allow me to play that back for you again, frame by frame.
Shalandria observed what she could really only think to describe as an amorphous gray blob that appeared to streak across the screen within the span of just 3 frames.
All right, I give up. What in Cicadia am I supposed to be looking at here? A mote of dust floating past the lens of your laughably low-fidelity recording device.
If only we could have been so lucky. You might have noticed there are some static features in the image that allowed us to adjust for perspective. Accordingly, then, I can tell you we have calculated the speed of this unknown object to be consistent with that of a 4th-generation Seabot at maximum safe velocity.
Shalandria's eyes went wide with shock.
That bitch Queen Citalia tried to fuck me, didn't she?
Maybe not just tried, but succeeded, too. She thought grimly to herself.
I'll cut right to the chase, then.
Ramirez said solemnly.
My queen, based on the limited coverage available, we have pieced together the following probable scenario. We believe the Seabot decoupled itself as soon as everyone was in stasis and then swapped itself out with another unit. We think the device in question first visited your royal chamber and then headed straight for the undeclared storage hold, which of course contained the MQB. It seems very likely it gained access via biometric spoofing, but unfortunately, this does call for some amount of speculation, as we had no eyes near that particular room, and certainly none inside of it.
A truly unforgivable oversight,
the Queen said bitterly, but there was little or no heat in her words, perhaps at least partially due to the fact she herself had demanded the room be completely free of any form of surveillance.
And do we have any idea as to exactly how long it remained there?
The Queen asked disconsolately.
A little under 3 years based on the activity logs from my network of recording devices.
3 whole years?
The Queen repeated to herself incredulously. Very clearly it hadn't spent all that time in there doing nothing. She had to assume it had found a way to infiltrate her archive and extract whatever it was that it was looking for, which was not exactly hard to figure out.
So, can I assume you have performed a thorough forensic investigation of the replacement G-bot that has since been piloting my ship?
Yes, my queen. I had it immediately replaced with the official backup unit, so we could perform a thorough analysis of its neural network. The simple truth is, we could find no anomalies. However, it appeared to me that it was missing 1 or 2 noteworthy events, specifically related to my own personal interactions with what was supposedly that device. Now, while this does not rise to the level of incontrovertible evidence, I nevertheless feel somewhat compelled to say, this unit just didn't seem quite the same as the one I had dealt with prior to going into stasis. To put it bluntly, the former was notably more obnoxious, and although I almost hate to admit it, to my own admittedly untrained eye, substantially more sophisticated as well.
While there had been rumors of a 5th-generation Z-bot prototype, up until now anyway, Zealandria had largely written them all off as nothing but typical Nest Zetalia propaganda. However, given it was allegedly a G-bot that had foiled the assassination attempt, then, under the circumstances, she really could not help but wonder whether this infiltrating Z-bot may well have been the very same prototype that had saved Zetalia's sorry excuse for a life.
It doesn't matter,
Queen Shalandria proclaimed defiantly.
Zetalia will come for us in the next 200 cycles, or in the next several thousand. Either way, we will be ready for her when she deems fit to make her move. The Zemagentia Accords mean absolutely nothing to me, something you should know better than anyone. Believe me, Ramirez, that changes everything. She will underestimate me just as she did her own mother. The simple truth is, it doesn't matter if she brings half of Zicadia's military might along with her for the ride. The result will still be the same.
I don't doubt it for even a second, my queen.
Ramirez concurred emphatically, despite Cielandria's sacrilegious rhetoric.
Now, if I may be so bold, this seems like the perfect moment to share the latest updates from the extrasolar newscasts.
Mindless gossip holds precisely zero interest for me, General, so I very much doubt it.
The Queen replied dismissively.
Yes, but as it turns out, this is neither mindless nor gossip. The celebrated Jihari scientist Zethusela, 123, was apparently assassinated by Confederates of the original eco-terrorists he so famously thwarted.
Cielandria's eyes lit up like flaming candles in the dark.
It gets even better, my queen. A short time later, Zethusela's contemporary and second-in-command, the Zimatiri technologist Zisilla 8506, was gunned down in cold blood by a rogue Z-bot, who apparently still remains at large. Needless to say, Nest Citalia's Z-bot program now lies in complete and utter tatters.
Queen Cielandria turned her now glittering gaze onto the general, one half of her face lit up by the blood-red glow of Astella.
I know I can be very hard on you, Sir Ramirez, but it is only because I know what you are capable of, which is precisely why I have kept bringing you back. Well, we have a lot of work to do, General, but I can promise you this. With your continued unconditional love and support, vengeance will be mine.